everybody, and welcome back to The Search with Lisa. If you are returning, thank you so much for helping our channel grow. And if you are new, welcome. I focus on unsolved cases to include missing, unsolved murders, and trafficking. So I upload every Thursday at 8 p.m. and we like to premiere it so that we can enjoy each other in the chat during the premiere. And that way, if you have any comments afterwards, leave them below or even during the chat and we can discuss them. I hope this episode you appreciate and you would subscribe, like, and comment, and please share. It is about growing this channel because we need more eyes and ears on these cases. These are all unsolved. So the more we have in the community, the better we are going to be with getting justice. So I welcome you, and everybody sit back and let's get into it. The story tonight that we are going to be discussing is Chelsea Grimm. Some of you may have heard of this case. I've been kind of keeping up with it. And it is one that has just really tugged at my heart. We will discuss different reasons why and theories on this. But if you are not familiar with this case, it's definitely a different one. Okay. So I'm going to start talking a little bit about her background, just so you can get a little bit more acclimated of her character and where she came from. Chelsea Grimm, which is Grimm, was born on March 22nd, 1991. She was born to her parents Stephen and Janet Grimm. She is originally from Stamford, Connecticut. Chelsea attended Pace University in New York, where she studied psychology. She graduated from New York University in 2019 with a master's degree in social work. And she actually worked for the New York City Department of Education as of 12th grade social worker. Just saying that tells you she's a nurturer. She definitely wants to help. She has a lot of passion. I think a lot of y'all know going into this type of work, you have to do it for passion. It's not like the pay scales are humongous. A lot of them work two jobs. I come from a mother that was a teacher, but also involved in things of this nature. It's definitely for the passion. And I think a lot could agree with that. So that tells me a lot about her. She also enjoyed photography. Those were also things that she liked to do. She had different projects going on. She just full of life. Her friends really said like she was a kind person, reached out a lot if she ever, was not feeling quite herself. Just one of these that was into life. She was out there in nature doing things, being a part of everything. And if things were off, hey, she let people know. That way she could reel back in. And she was just a very upbeat character. I'm going to kind of get into what's going on with her and a little bit of leading up to it. In 2020, Chelsea moved to the Ocean Beach in California. I'm not too familiar with the California area. They said it was a beachfront, like a neighborhood over in San Diego. Over there, she was a licensed associate clinical social worker. I had to get that exact. A photographer and an artist. So 2020, as you know, we were kind of going into getting close to COVID, going into those. So 2020 was like the year we all changed. The whole place changed, right? Some way or another. That is pretty much what she was doing through the couple years leading up to 2023, doing just like we were, dealing with COVID, doing what work she could when she could. It was, kind of that things getting back in to the realm of things around, 2022, just trying to be back in the know. But as you know, a lot of people, mental health was very much affected, and I don't have to cover that much. I think we all know what has gone on since 2020 up until now. So I want to focus on her, but please keep that in your mind for the purpose maybe of this case. So there was a wedding of one of her good friends that was actually going to be back out in Connecticut where she was from. And this is in 2023. So that's where we're at now. On September 24th, 2023, Chelsea left San Diego, California to travel across country, okay, for a wedding in Connecticut, like I said, and she was going to meet her parents out there. So, first of all, originally she was going to fly there because, like, that's what I would have done. I don't think driving across country by myself is kind of what I want to do, right? But she originally was, like I said, gonna fly, but decided to drive after the airlines would not let her fly with her bearded dragon. So she had a bearded dragon named Roxy. I mean, you can tell this was her love. She was like, Roxy can't come. Neither can I. I'll drive. That tells you Roxy came everywhere with her. She didn't trust anybody to probably take good care of Roxy, and she's very much was attached. We'll talk more about that. So that was her decision of why she was going to drive instead. Unfortunately, I think that was probably one of the worst decisions that could have happened. So she begins her journey. On September 27th, Grimm arrived in Phoenix, Arizona, where she met her sister and a friend. The next day, she canceled plans for lunch with the same friend. So, they met up, but, they were going to do lunch the next day, but she was just, she canceled him. So Chelsea was seen on that same day at a motel at Seligman where she tried to book a room. Something a little odd, guys. She was described as kind of disoriented when she tried to exchange her euros as opposed to US currency.
Unless you take euros, or anyone in town exchanges euros. I was trying to stay off the grid. I don't really. That's the problem. I was hoping not to use the card.
I found a little odd being euros. And how did she have euros on her? Why would you travel with euros? I'm thinking as I'm going, like, why is she doing this, right? Chelsea calls her parents from the hotel and said she would not be making it to Connecticut in time for the wedding because the trip was taking way too long than expected. She had planned to camp nearby for a few days and then go ahead and head back over to California. Now, I'm going to tell you, she had only made it as far, like I said, over to Phoenix. From what I understand, is about a 5-hour trip. Not exact, but guys, of 3 days, that was about as far as she got in just a couple days. That's weird. Like when I was doing research a lot, and I was like listening to people that lived in that area and I, doing some research for that area. And that's something like where she had made it to, where basically she was turning around at, should have like got there in like 5 hours or so, maybe stopped, got her something to eat, gassed up, kept going a little longer. I don't know. Let's keep going. On September 28th, a police officer found Chelsea's vehicle parked near a war memorial in Williams County, Arizona.
You doing all right?
Yeah, I just was doing a photo shoot of the lost soldiers. I got a little emotional, so I was crying before I got back on the road. I was actually thinking of just camping for the night, but I wasn't really sure exactly yet.
Gotcha. Well,
I didn't plan to be here till sunset.
Okay. Just hang out here however long you want. You're good to go.
She's crying. She is emotionally upset when talking to her. He did ask her, have you been smoking a little bit? And she's like, yeah, I have, but the officer wasn't really big about that. I think he was just more concerned about her crying, and she explained that I'm doing a project on the lost soldiers, and this really got to her. And I can see why. I mean, I'm a daughter of a retired soldier. I come from a long line of military. So I understand the attachments, but I also understand that it is very emotional. I think a lot of us got to remember, we've come just out of COVID. Everything is so different now. Things we're seeing and what we find dear to us, a lot of us mentally are being challenged on things that we weren't before. Okay. So, like I said, she was like, this is a project. So he was very empathetic. All right. So he suggests some safe places for her to go. Like he was cool with her staying there for a little bit, get herself together. And he even said, you know what, if you stay the night around here, in the morning at the sun, since you're taking pictures, and take pictures because the sun rises and it comes up behind the statues of the lost soldiers. So, like I said, the cop was really helpful with her. I feel like at that time, if she needed any help, he was definitely the one she could have turned to and talked to. So, anyway, he suggested some safe places for her to go after pulling herself together. He told Chelsea to go camp for the night, including Love's truck stop near a gas station where she wouldn't be bothered. So, I know that Love's, they are kind of popular for having the trucks there and they stay there during the night. I mean, I feel like still a single female anywhere camping out, you still have to be alert, but I think as an officer, maybe they patrolled more 24 hours over there. She would not be alone in a parking lot to say that there was other people that stayed over there. All right, guys. So, on September 30th, Chelsea was last seen by a woodcutter near Ash Fork, Arizona, where she was camping in her car. She did not seem in distress or anything. Like nothing seemed off or like needed any help. And unfortunately, guys, that would be really the last time Chelsea had been seen or really heard from. On October 3rd, 2023, Chelsea's vehicle, a white 2019 Ford Escape SUV, was found abandoned with two flat tires by a hunter in the middle of Forest Service Road 6 in Kebab National Forest, northeast of Ash Fork, Arizona. On October 4th, Chelsea's parents filed a missing persons report with the Phoenix Police Department when they couldn't contact her. Now, I want to tell you this. When she had talked to her parents, they basically knew that they would probably not be hearing from her for a few days because of camping off the grid. They knew she wasn't coming there. So, it if you're wondering like why didn't anybody like make contact with her, we're going from like the 30th or the 28th, 29th, and now it's like October 4th before filing. That I want to explain that it because they kind of expected not to hear from her, so it was not abnormal. Okay, like I said, on October 4th, the parents, they did file the missing report in Phoenix. Chelsea disappeared on that day. Now listen, when they found the car, the doors were locked. When she disappeared from the car, she took with her her wallet, her cell phone, sleeping bag, and of course, Roxy, her bearded dragon. Some clothing and her camera was left behind in the car, which I think that part was like, And we'll get into all that. It literally looks like she got flat tires and got out, grabbed some things, and decided that, okay, I need to start walking to get some help. So that's when, like, there doesn't look like anything bothered or there's no windows smashed, nothing like that. Chelsea's phone records, bank account, socials, no activity though since that day. The police stated that they found no evidence of foul play in Chelsea's disappearance. The circumstances of Chelsea's disappearance remains unclear. I want to kind of get into a few things. I am, as well as so many others, have been so bothered by this case because, unfortunately, guys, this is what they call now like a shelved case. Basically, like if something happens and her name's ran in the with like the law enforcement or something, then they'll be like, okay, it says get in touch with the family or whatever, but it does not say anything like foul play. She's 32. She's allowed to do what she wants because there was no evidence found or anything. And this is serious, guys, because she did disappear. That is why I chose to do this case. I choose cases for a reason, whether other people have done them or nobody's done them. That's not to me. I look over things, and like I said, I remember when it had kind of first broke out and there was talk and there was search of looking for her. Kind of kept up with it, just through the months of what's going on. And I think it was when I heard that it was a shelved case and that everything's kind of been going cold. There was like groups in Facebook that were really advocate about things, and they've kind of simmered down. And it just seems like things are just simmering down as if it's just gone off the way. The parents are definitely heartbroken, of course. So I want to talk about a couple things with this. So first, the car ended up getting put into an impound. There were private investigators that actually were hired, looked into it, and I'm going to talk about that because I don't know all of the investigators involved, because to me right now I want to focus on where possibly she could be or what's happened. But there is one that I know of and I've seen, and I want to give a special shout out to this channel and to this investigator. The private investigator's name is Steve Fisher. Okay. And I know that he was hired for a 4-day investigation, but I know that he did way more than that. He's very invested in it. And I found some things for him, saying to be very interesting. And he's done a lot of work, and this one has really boggled him. And for him to do a lot of pro bono and for his heart to still be in it, I just want to say that I thank him for speaking on it and giving people like myself that are looking at it just a little look from his point of view. Someone that has actually been in the car, touched the car, been to the area, seen the area, familiar with these type of cases. I also do want to do another quick shout out to Brian on LTL True Crime channel. I will put that in the description. I know there's a lot that is covered, but I just want to say that I kind of do my own research, and if I'm looking through, I will see YouTube, and actually I've seen the private investigator, so I listened to a little bit of that, and I had already kind of concluded my stuff, but to listen to their channel was very interesting. And I think people that have dedicated so much work into one case, on their time, definitely needs recognition. I am newer into YouTube, but I have been doing this for a time on other platforms. So anyway, with that said, check that out if you want to even go dive further. There is some great content there. But from what I have gathered and from what I understand, that in her car, she left her camera in there. Now, like I said, when she left with her bearded dragon. Of course, she left with Roxy, a sleeping bag, her phone, not her camera, which I thought was kind of strange. So I can look at it like, okay, she's just thinking, I'm going to walk down the road and try to get some help and get, she had her phone up, she needed to get some cell service or whatever, and that's what she was going to do. And maybe if she felt cold or needed to stop, she had a sleeping bag. I don't know, being a photographer, having to walk, I don't know. I don't know. I also know that there was a lot of personal things in her car. What I understood, she had journals in there that dated back to like 2015 that were all wrote in. What I, was hearing, of course, they had to take the car in and do what they do. And eventually, guys, that stuff just got thrown away. And I hate to hear that. I'm going off of just things that I have looked up and are public information. And it just broke my heart to think that, those are personal things. But now I want to get to maybe where her personal thoughts were at. Yes, of course, she was seen, by the officer crying. It very well could have been due to that project. Now, I want to kind of get into some other things. She was in a relationship with, or an ex. I am not exactly sure on. He says one thing, we're not exactly sure. We're just gonna talk about recent boyfriend or current boyfriend, Philip Brenner. Okay. Now, he was back at the apartment where she lived, apparently, when she went missing, so he wasn't with her. He actually started up a GoFundMe, I believe, for like $30,000 to raise funds up. I don't think he raised a lot to like help. I don't know. There was a lot of talk of him not being allegedly, the best. I don't have any confirmation of that. I just know, like I said, that was the talk about it. I hate to discuss things that I don't know to be factual. I leave that to the ones that are diving deep, and I am more or less bringing awareness to what is going on and the fact that we need to get her face out. So I just try to look into everything that I can find that is factual. But what I do know is that the parents were very, very disturbed, and I know they were able to get her personal belongings, but I believe luckily that the landlord was able to go in and help get everything, the rest out. This is strange, and you find me like trying to figure out, as I mean, I went over this story over and over in my head and read and read and read and read some more and listened and read some more. And what also is going on is they have now brought in sex trafficking organization to look into some things. So I know that the private investigator, I know that Steven, of course, is like backing out, not getting involved. You can find him on Twitter and he talks about things, but you know, not making sure he's not interfering with anything or anybody else. So this organization is coming in, and maybe they will start fighting. But this is the deal, guys. Nothing has ever been found of any of her belongings. Nothing. Nothing out in the woods. Any searches. Nothing. No, I mean, totally just up and gone. So, could she have been walking and somebody picked her up and then maybe foul play happened after that? Also, her friends, some of her close like neighbors, friends around, their her mental health, even her parents felt that there was some things off around that certain time. It was a concern that she only had gone 5 hours within 3 days. We also have the footage of her trying to Euros to kind of stay off the grid. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't. Things just are so odd with all of this. Now, does she have a right to go off and go on her own? Yeah, but you have to survive. You have to do things, and people have to see you. Her parents and her close friends say that she would not do that. But I will say that I have done search cases where it was a mental health break and that they were found in the homeless communities years later, and that's where they were found. I want to get this story out. I know that only, can do so much by sharing, but guys, it only takes one person to see her, to see this picture, to know something. I talked to some people I personally knew had not heard of this case. So I thought, okay, because when I'm speaking, I'll say, I'm going to go and do this case, and they'll say, oh, well, what's that going to be about? And that tells me not everybody knows. It doesn't matter how high profile, it does not matter. There are still people that don't know. I definitely feel like that mental health illness could be a part of things. Maybe she is not in foul play. Maybe she got picked up and decided to just go off with whoever and do, whatever. Now, I mean, we are getting into March, so it's been since the end of September, so 5 months. The fact of going 5 months, and if she was having mental health issues, I feel, listen, she would have to be in a doctor somewhere. If these people were good, that's what I mean by not meeting foul play. But by them bringing in sex trafficking organizations, and she's on that area near the border of our country, there's a lot to be said and not said in this case. I just feel compelled to share, guys. I feel compelled to share this story because when she left her house that day, she was ready to go. And she met with her sister. And after that, that's when everything turned around. Not saying anything on the sister, I'm saying after that time period, everything changed. Very emotional with the lost soldiers, and then just decided she wasn't going to Connecticut. I will say that there has been some people sightings that she was in a restaurant after the time around in October, that there was two people in there and a person had a bearded dragon, and they had a person with them, another female, and that they seemed to be very kind. There's been sightings. I mean, I know there's more than one bearded dragon out there, but what is the odds of that area? Somebody with a bearded dragon around that time? So, other than that, guys, that's really all I have on her. This was a tough one. This was a tough one, how to really get out and really bring y'all along on this journey when it really got cut short, but it deserves to be heard. Some people really want this all out stories, and sometimes I just can't bring you that. But what I can bring you is I want to bring awareness to if there's any mental health. Remember, we're coming out of COVID around this time pretty strong, a year into. There's been who we were pre, a lot of us are not fully the same just from being in houses for a long time or being out of work or, lack of finances, just anything. Okay? So I definitely think that that could be an issue. Also, I mean, why she didn't take her camera with her? Did she plan on? Did somebody come by and she was like, "Oh, let me grab this and we'll head"? But why the sleeping bag? You know, many theories, could be put on that. But the fact is her car was locked, which is what I do know, that she had two flat tires and what was missing out of there, and that she has no longer been seen. And nobody has heard anything from her. That is the facts that I know. And I know that the police officer's seen her. That's all I got, guys. That pretty much sums up the story of the disappearance of Chelsea Grimm. And I'm sorry, but I don't want her to be a shelf case. I want her to be where we're all still looking for her. Keep those flyers up, people. I know that some flyers have been taken down now. Why? She's not found. She needs justice. The family needs to know what has happened. We need to know she's okay. We need to know what's going on. Her family needs to know. So before I end every search, I like to do something for the victim. With that, I make them a ribbon. If you've been here before, you've seen this on every episode. This ribbon represents a prayer for justice for the victim, and this is for Chelsea Grimm. Last seen, I have on here 9/28/2023. The dates could be a day or two, but she's 32 years old. I want to last say this. Chelsea is a white female born on March 22nd, 1991. Chelsea was blonde, strawberry hair with blue eyes, stands 5'8", and weighs 115 to 135 pounds. She has distinctive physical features. Chelsea has a black ink vine-style tattoo on her left forearm, to be exact, onto her wrist, a small black ink tattoo on her right wrist, and a black ink writing on her left side of her rib cage. If you have any information regarding Chelsea Grimm's disappearance, please contact Coconino County Sheriff's Office at 928-774-4523, and I will link all the information in the description. But remember, if you see her, call 911. Call, and the reason that I'm a little extra on this case about make sure you get somebody contacted, because she is not considered like disappeared or where they, it's more or less, okay, if we see you, we need you to contact your family. So of course, always be safe, but try to get the attention of the officers and let them know she has been missing. That concludes today's search, and leave a comment below and let me know what you think about this case. Thank you as always for helping us grow, and I will see you all on the next search with Lisa. Thank you guys. Have a great evening.